And it's very light. We're just chatting about what it's like to have ADHD. Some people are coming to this program through your school. Some people are coming through your from your parents, or maybe a friend has mentioned it. And it's really just about a chat to explain what ADHD is, what to expect. Um, you may not have, it may be that you're just having trouble studying, and it may be as simple as that. But we're just going to chat through a couple of things. So you will get the slides. You don't have to worry about taking notes. You will get the slides at the end. I'm going to record. I'm not 100% sure whether the recording will be good enough to send out to people, but we will record it anyway, seeing as we got asked the question. And you will get the slides, definitely. For parents, if there's a group of parents here now, this is a talk for secondary school students. So you can, by all means, sit in if you want, but we have a special talk for yourselves as parents in the after 8 o'clock. And that will be more suited to yourselves as parents. This talk is very much about talking to you guys as students, where you are now, how ADHD, if you have ADHD, may be affecting you. You may have some traits that are really affecting, and maybe you never had any issues whatsoever. And also that some of you may be on a waiting list, not sure, what's coming, what's happening, and what's it all about. Some of you may be in exam years, and it's a case that you know you find it hard to struggle. You find it hard to get your homework done, to study, to keep things in. When you're studying really hard till maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, and you wonder why you can't remember the next day. That can be your executive function. So we'll talk all about it. We're going to try and keep it on a fairly low key. And the one thing about it is, guys, we have a chat box and we have a Q&A. Okay, so this is a webinar. So I don't see any of you. You can see me, but I'll take myself off now in a minute so we can concentrate on the program in play. You can chat away between yourselves in the chat box. One of the things you could start with, if you want to, just kind of tell me where in the country you are. I'm in Portlaoise, right in the middle, and I hope we have you from north and south. And just to know that if you have a question, we will get to questions at the end. You may find that, I hope, we answer a few questions as we're going through that you have already. And if there is a question or two that you have, we'll put it to the end and I'll check the Q&A. That's what I'm saying. If you want to put it, you can chat away. There's so much going to go through chat. I won't be able to keep an eye on it. When I'm doing the presentation, I can only do the presentation, and then I'll check Q&A at the end. If we've 1 or 2 questions I can answer. If I can't answer, we'll get back to you. All right. And I'll ask you to send through an email and we'll be able to work from there. Okay. We have a couple of questions already. Okay, no problem. And so we'll get started because I'm very conscious of the time. Okay. So we'll start again.
Recording in progress.
Hi everyone, I'm Nicola from ADHD Ireland, and tonight we're going to talk to you as secondary school students about ADHD. It's a very basic introduction as to what to expect, what way it presents as a student, how it affects you maybe emotionally, what you can do for yourselves, what school can do for you, and how you can help yourselves. And there may be some emotions here, and you might feel a little bit triggered maybe by the end, and you want to talk to someone. So talk to your parents, talk to your school, and hopefully those who are coming through the school's accreditation program, your school is really interested in learning. All your teachers are going through the educator training program, and hopefully by the end you'll have a lovely flag for the schools program. But for those of you who are coming through yourselves, and maybe there's some parents, as I said, there is a parents talk later on, and let's get started. So I'm Nicola, as I said. I work with ADHD Ireland. I myself have ADHD, and I only found out in my 40s. And some people, managed to get the whole way through. I'm a typical girl. I kind of scraped through school, was able to keep jobs, able to manage to keep a house going, and didn't burn every single dinner, and the kids are still alive and they're in college, so we're doing not too bad. But it is a matter of trying to see how the things that are affecting you may be around ADHD. It may be that you are working through the process. You're looking at a couple of things and you're trying to figure out, have I ADHD? Have I not? Maybe it's been mentioned through the school. Maybe you're going through a lot of emotions, anxiety, depression. And we'll talk about that. Yeah, let's get going. So what is ADHD? Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It's a really long, terrible name for something that is a really great condition once it's managed and treated. In fact, it's one of the most treatable conditions, and people thrive once they have their scaffolding around, once parents understand schools can accommodate in a workplace scenario. Maybe you're working part-time and that you can maybe talk to your boss and say, do you know what? It's not necessarily about going and saying I have ADHD. It's about, you know what? That maybe the early shift doesn't suit me because I really like to lie in the mornings. Can I work the later shifts? I don't mind working till the 2 in the morning. There's ways and means of learning how to work with your ADHD. And so it is a condition that you're born with it, you die with it. It's genetic. It can be in the family. But the thing about it is, most people who have ADHD and it presents very early in school, chances are you have another condition, or you could have dyspraxia, dyslexia, autism, and school is working with you on that. And ADHD only shows its head kind of around when you're doing a big transition. So you're moving into first year, into third year, doing exams. TY is a big one that shocks a lot of people. I got through my exams, but I really can't handle this lack of routine, no schedule, not knowing what's happening next week. You know, you're meant to be doing something tomorrow and that's changed and you do something else and you find this very overwhelming. That can all be part of ADHD. But 60 to 80% of those with ADHD have another condition as well. It may never affect you. Some people have autism and it could be ADHD and trouble with study, trouble trying to remember, and sometimes working with your friends as well, and social conditions. Hi, Sarah. They come in as issues later on. And you know, you're coming into first year, third year, TY. In a lot of students go through the Leaving Cert, go into college, and it's only when they're in college, first year in college and last year in college, are years that we have a lot of people who have they tend to go for their diagnosis. So there's a lot of us out there. By 5% of the population, is about 230,000 people in Ireland with ADHD, very few diagnosed. And we're living and working as students, as parents, as mummies and daddies, brothers and sisters with ADHD without sometimes knowing about it. It does affect our executive function, and we'll talk about that later on, but it's about the learning piece, trying to remember things and bring it back, what you've learned last night for today. Self-control and impulse control, trying to motivate us to get things started. And sometimes we're really hyper-focused on getting something started and we can't finish it. And focus in a classroom, focus on our homework. They can be issues. So a lot of the common comorbidities, so basically the other conditions that can work alongside ADHD, as I said, very rarely does it travel alone, but there can be difficulties in learning, difficulties in school, mood disorders like anxiety and depression. Girls particularly, we will talk a little bit about it, but boys tend to have hyperactive and externalize their ADHD. Girls tend to internalize, and that means you won't really see it. It's in the brain. You can't sleep. You know, you can't focus in class because there's a lot going on. But externally, when everyone's looking at you, it doesn't look like you're having any issues. And that's sometimes where you have to put your hand up and say, I need help here. It does often get misdiagnosed. And for those of you who are sitting here with any question around the fact, do you have ADHD? It's one of the few conditions, as I said earlier, it's really treatable. It's very manageable and it's a really great strength to have. We'll talk about their strengths later on. There's lots of things we have trouble with, but once you know how to work with them, you'll find that you'll be able to work an awful lot better and excel at many a thing once you know what your strengths are. What causes ADHD? It is genetic, as we said, but it's faulty neurotransmitters. So basically, we tend to have kind of a broken dopamine pump. So dopamine is what gets us up and running, gets us going. And it is a neurodevelopmental condition. We're born with it and we die with it. Some people never have any issues because they love the subjects they had in school, they got through, loved the exams, they were able to work through the study, they got a good pattern going early on. And then it's only when they're in their job or at home with work or girls as mammies that having a new baby. They manage to keep their job, go the whole way to college, keep a house, and just when a baby comes along. So everyone has where ADHD keeps you really going really well until it doesn't. Simple as. It can be seen on a brain scan, and the condition it is extremely well researched. It's one of the few conditions that is really manageable. It is invisible. It's one of the most researched conditions, absolutely, but it is treatable, it is common, and it is inheritable. So just to kind of explain, it is miscommunication, misfiring of synapses in our frontal lobe, which is you might as well say the boardroom of the brain. So this is where all the thinking goes on. So the executive functions are the mental processes, so that enable us to plan, to organize, to focus attention on things, to be able to remember instructions. And, you might be told by your mom, go up and get my charger. You'll come down with a book. She'd say, no, I said the charger. So you go up the stairs again and you could end up in your room sitting down reading that book. And she'll come up and say, where's my charger? And you got completely sidetracked on something total else. And juggling different things, juggling a lot of different things at the one time. If you're really interested, of course, you're able to manage, but it could be that you're forgetting your PE gear every single week. I know you don't probably use much in geography or atlases and things, but to have everything in the one folder, it's much easier for our brains to work with just to pick the one folder if we remember that we've geography tomorrow. So 3 different types of ADHD: inattentive, hyperactive, and combined. Don't worry, guys. Now remember, you are going to get the slides. So inattentive is really about difficulty paying close attention to detail. So if you're in an exam, it could be that you see page 1, yeah, you're doing maths and yeah, I know everything on there. I know these, I'm trying to think, is it Pythagoras theorems? And yeah, I'll be able to do page 2, page 3, and you start into page 3 because there's something in there that you really know how to do, and you fly through and you take loads of time. And then you go back to page 1 and you say, yeah, there was something on there. And you finish page 1, 2, and 3, and you forget to actually turn to page 4 and 5. And you've spent your whole exam up until 10 minutes before you turn the page and oh, I have these to do. Or sometimes there's a lot of guys coming to us and saying, we forgot to turn the pages to even look to the end at the very beginning. So these little things we need to learn for ourselves if you have our busy brain. So you get distracted very easily. You find it difficult to follow instructions, especially if there's more than 1 or 2 instructions. If a teacher kind of talks about a project and there's 3 or 4 different parts to it, unless she has it written on the board and you have time to actually write that down, or you have it on a piece of paper, or she repeats it 2 or 3 times, sometimes it's very hard to pick up all those points. And that's just the way our brains think. We are fantastic at other things, but these are some of the things that we just find it hard to do. And we need to learn little tips and tricks to do that. We find it hard to start a task. And if we do start it, sometimes we forget to finish it. We can be quite forgetful. We might have a load of passwords, forget where we're after writing it down, press forgot password, write it down again, and actually have to do it again because we forgot where we wrote down. Very hard to do to organize ourselves. And big one, which you may not connect with ADHD, is around being able to control your emotions. It's a big one. And we don't know why we're really overwhelmed when we get home from school and all we want to do is fly out. It's because you're after spending 8 hours trying to control yourself, trying to listen, trying to focus when your brain is fighting against you. Simple as. And we can have a lot of thoughts going on at once, and it's very hard to figure out what's really important. So if you're told that you've got 3 different projects to do for 3rd year, they all have to be ready by Christmas. You have 3 of them, you don't know when the deadlines are, you haven't written them down more than likely. You don't know which one's more important or how to break them up. Take one project and what's more important. If you're told to summarize chapter 12, a lot of us tend to take the highlighter and nearly highlight every line because we don't know how to summarize. We don't know how to take it. And other people can put a full chapter of 12 pages onto 2 cards. We find it very hard to do that. So these are the things we need to learn to do. Hyperactive impulsive. This is the kind of kid that is seen early on in school. A lot of the time it is boys because they're externalizing. There are girls who absolutely have hyperactive impulsive ADHD as well. We fidget a lot, talk excessively, talk loudly. I hope I'm not talking too loudly for you. They interrupt others. And this is the thing when you're very young, but also when you're older. You could be in the middle of a group and you're chatting away and then someone talks about the latest film comes up and you just burst into it. Yeah, I know all about it. I'm after seeing it. It's absolutely amazing. And you ruin it for them because you tell them the ending. And it's just knowing when to stop. Sometimes it's knowing when to start as well, when it comes to conversations and when to butt in properly. In a classroom scenario, a teacher might ask a question, you know the answer straight away, the hand is up, and you never put your hand up. But in French, you know the answer, you put your hand up and she asks you the question and waiting on the answer, and it's gone completely out of your head because you've forgotten the question. So a little tip there is when she asks the question that you know the answer to, or you're in your group, you're to actually point out and speak up. Write down what you're going to say before you actually get up to talk. And that will work later on. We use that even in meetings now. That before we speak, if we have an idea, write it down. Before it goes out of our head, then talk about it because it's there. Difficulty sleeping is huge for guys, for me. We might run on 3-4 hours sleep a night. Other people need 8 and 10. It's not that it's good for us, it's just the way our brain works. We find it very, very hard to go to sleep. And it's about finding ways of relaxing and calming down. And we do things without thinking. When some of you may be starting to drive, you might find the impulsive side is pulling out of the gateway and taking the side of the car, reversing straight back in the yard and forgetting that daddy's trailer is there. You know, it's simple things, and it can be as simple as jumping out of the car, forgetting to lock it, you know, forgetting your handbag, leaving it in there. Guys, not bringing your bag with you when you're going to school and you're driving yourself, or you're getting in the car with the whole family and you know that you've got that history project to bring in. You're after spending until 3 o'clock in the morning getting it done, and you actually go to school without it and completely forget it, forgetting the important things. Combined type is a bit of everything. That is essentially what ADHD combined type is. And there are a lot of people with a bit of combined type ADHD. When it comes to the brain, it's just about trying to work with how you work. Everybody is completely different. Somebody with dyslexia, somebody with dyspraxia, somebody who is a night owl, loves to work at night, some love to work in the daytime. Everybody is totally different. But working memory is something that is a huge issue for us. Poor organizational skills, finding difficulty to retain something and follow instructions. So retaining something we've learned before and bringing it in the next day. Studied for an exam and we're not trying to remember all the bits of it that you need to do for that question that you know the answer to. Some of us then, if we love English and we love poetry, you will, word for word, be able to quote that poem because it's your hyperactive. It's your hyperactivity, your hyper focus on something that you really love. There'll be subjects that you really are great at, and then the subjects that you're not so good at because you don't like them or you're not good at them, and you feel you're not good at them, and you kind of give up towards you can be good at a lot of things if you just know how to learn. Difficulty retaining prior learning, that's what I was saying about the night before, and transferring skills. So taking what you've learned in French, all the verbs and the words to put sentences together, to then take all that and put it in that letter that you're meant to do. That can be hard for us. We know we've learned all the verbs. We know we've learned the sentences, but there's so many of them. How do you take them and put them into that letter and summarize it enough into that letter? So there are many of the things that can be affecting us. And these are things that we work on and can work on and keep moving on. Other issues, we can have emotional maturity delay. So basically what that is, it's absolutely nothing with our intellectual IQ. It's about and how we study. It's very much about how we can be emotionally behind our peers. So say we're 15, we can act like a 13-year-old at home. And mom saying, why are you acting like your brother? You know, you won't listen, you won't do things. Why are you screaming and shouting? It can be that just emotionally, sometimes we're a few years behind. Some people would say, I'm like a 30-year-old in around the place and I'm well past that. But low self-esteem can come from that because we do a lot of silly things. And we know after the fact, we go, why did I do that? Where did that come from? I knew that was wrong. What happened? That can be impulsivity. That can be something that we have. It's inbuilt. It's not what we can do about it. Poor internalization of social conduct. So it can be when you're younger in the schoolyard that we're playing rugby and you're meant to be kicking the ball that way. You're on the blue team and you're going that way. But you see the ball coming, you don't think the ball, you run, you go to your friend down the other end, not realizing, yeah, you're actually meant to be going with those rules, going with the ball that way. And that can happen. And we can sometimes be in the middle of a game as a teenager in the exact same thing. And you just have that kind of mad notion that, oh, forgot, and go the other direction. So we can find it hard to when we're younger as well. And sometimes it can happen now if you interrupt a group of friends, or if you're constantly, say, we're chatting and you see a purple pen and you just pick up the purple pen and someone says, "No, that's my pen." I go, "Sorry, yeah, look, I saw the pen and I started using it. It's not you're robbing it, it's not you're taking it, it's just saw it there, I'm using it." And those kind of things can kind of affect us with our friends. And the one thing that we do, a social club on our ADHD Ireland. Sorry, we have an events page, and we do a lot for teens. So try and come in and join up, and don't be alone, because the one thing that comes up at those groups is a lot of teenagers in first, second year, TY, and leaving certain year tend to be. I don't know why it's those kind of years, but we find it hard to make friends, and when we do, we find it hard to keep friends because we do silly things. And sometimes we can get in with the wrong crowd because they're the only ones that are talking to us. And that we know it's going against our judgment, but we know they're actually talking to us, they're our friends. And so they can't possibly have any mis they don't want to put us in any harm or misdirection or get us into trouble, when in fact that could be exactly what they're trying to do. So we do tend to have trouble. And also at home, I'll try and throw on a video in a few minutes just about a boy who's trying to explain his experience and how he got on with his parents in school, and his friends. And it's just, it might kind of, you might relate to some of it. But we tend to have more arguments with our siblings, more arguments with our parents, because we see things black and white a lot of the time. They tell us to do one thing, but in fact, they really meant to do something else. And we just didn't connect the two, you know. So we can have a lot of issues, and please, guys, everyone has issues. Everyone has different ways of learning. Everyone has different ways of making friends. So just because we've ADHD, we're not any different. We're just this type of different, and we have to try and figure out how we work and what we can do for ourselves. So move on for me. Social anxiety is one thing that I'm not sure people know what it actually is. It's sometimes just where it's not about a panic attack and lying on the floor and not being able to move forward. It's about sometimes going into a new gymnastic club, going into a new class. We're after being in the same class, in sixth class for years, and now we're moving into first year. I'm going to 10 different classes. A, I have to remember where I'm going. B, I have to remember what classes I'm meant to be going to. C, I have to remember to go back to my locker at 11 o'clock to bring the rest of the books, or carry all the books all the time, which is what a lot of us do. But the way social anxiety expresses itself in our body is you start to sweat, you start to tense up. And some of us don't know what this is, but it's something to really worry about and start thinking about, and to start realizing, okay, I may be constantly worried all the time. I may blush very easily. You're sweating, you're pumping, you're anxious, your body is telling you, your heart is thumping out of your chest. Something's not right here. I'm not comfortable. I feel I'm not in a safe space. And that's time to talk to somebody about it, because it can be that it's new. Everyone's in that same space, even though it's somebody who is the best at football and he's loud and proud and chatting away and really loud in the classroom. It could be that he is actually the shyest person in the classroom, but in fact, he's strongest by being the loudest. And in fact, he goes home and cries himself to sleep because he's so upset and he doesn't have any friends. So you have to realize and get into the shoes of other people, that other people may actually be going through exactly what you're going through. And other challenges of ADHD and neurodiversity, whether you've autism, dyspraxia, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, all these Ds, it's about our brains work differently, so we need extra supports. We can have communication difficulties. We can be bullied, and we can be singled out. And it may be, I was bullied for red hair. It can be for your glasses. It can be for the color of your skin. It can be the size. You're tall, short, fat, thin. You know, we can't win sometimes. And a lot of the time, the bullies have been bullied themselves. So keep that in the back of your mind. It doesn't help you, but be able to speak up. And it's really, really important not to let things in on you. Teachers are there, your heads are there. In some schools, there's nurses. There's always a teacher who you will get on with better than others. There's a caretaker, there's the canteen lady, the secretary, and the receptionist as you go in. They may be the only people you talk to, but make sure and talk to them. Same with parents. Absolutely, your parents are there. That goes without saying. But some of us can't talk to our parents. I know I can't talk to my kids, and they can't talk to me. So they talk better, and their friends actually have more of a conversation with me than I do with my own kids. So that's how it works. All the things we've been talking about are the things that go on in our daily lives. Okay, so we're trouble focusing, trouble making friends, sometimes fidgeting all the time, getting trouble for moving, needing movement breaks, needing to get up, going out on break time, going chatting to the friends, forgetting to eat our lunch, or coming back in without going to the toilet and needing to go back out again at the 2 o'clock class, you know? So there's things we forget to do. But all underneath all this, and again, you'll have this, is about all the problems we actually really do have. Time blindness is one, where we think we're going to get something done in 10 minutes. Should we look, we have all night, 9 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock, it's 11 o'clock. I'll get it finished. It'll only take me half an hour. It could take me to 3 o'clock in the morning. But others have taken probably all month to get that project done when you will do it in 3 hours. And that's a massive plus of ADHD. We have difficulty moving from task to task. Some people have, we said about the poor sense of time, but difficulty following conversations. I don't know about you, but if there's a conversation going on here and I'm talking to somebody, I'm in a group of three, so they're chatting and I'm kind of chatting with them, and there's another conversation going on beside me, I find it very hard to concentrate on the conversation I'm listening to because it's extra noise. But yet, on the flip side, and some of you will probably relate, that you're able to have your own music that you like blaring in your ears while you're doing a French document because you're actually able to calm what's going on in your head, and it's music you actually like. It's having a calming effect on your brain, and you're able to get through and you're able to get that homework done. So it doesn't make sense, but to our brain, it actually does. So how can it affect you in school? Lack of focusing on a subject, certain subjects you really can't get the handle on. Difficulty staying in the class, so you can get in trouble for needing to leave the class. And a lot of time, like I said, it's forgetting something, forgetting to go to the toilet, not eating lunch and being starving and not being able to concentrate when you come back in. Losing track of time, not getting things done in time. A teacher who tells you that you're to have an essay done. There's 3 parts. Here you go. Here's how to break it out. And they tell you you have to do in 2 weeks' time. What does 2 weeks' time mean to us? Nothing. Unless you actually write it down and say you're going to do this piece this week and you're going to do this piece that week. And that's where we ask teachers to give a hand. Give shorter deadlines that you do need to have by this Friday. You do need to have the first paragraph done. By next Wednesday, you have to have the second paragraph done. Has everyone got that done in the class? Great. Everyone will have it done by Friday. Because if you're anything like me, it will be lastminute.com, bring it in on the Friday if you're lucky to remember you have it done. And you have it brought with you on the day. Answering back in class, it can be that you're literally trying to answer a question, but it sounds rude. And that can be a miscommunication. And unless you actually explain that to people, sorry, I didn't mean that, before you're pushed out with the principal. Don't be afraid to explain yourself if you're taken up wrong, because sometimes we can be seen as rude. It could be that we're cutting people short, when in fact we're really not. We're just overexcited. We want to talk about something that we really love and we know about. Forgetting to bring in the homework, that's a huge one. And not turning up on time for things. Sometimes that can be a major thing. You've got dance on a Tuesday and drama on a Wednesday, and then Thursday comes along and I forgot to do drama last. Failing study on time for exams, and also going through the paper. Most people sit down and read all the way through the paper, mark the questions they know. But with us, sometimes, like I said earlier, we force into the first thing that we see. Transitions are huge, and it's not just about transition into different classes. It's transition into extracurricular activities, maybe a new house, maybe the family is moving to a different town, having to change clubs because you're moving to a different school in secondary school. So, there's a lot of transitions that are happening in secondary school. And life is hard, guys. But it's not as hard as what it'll be when it comes out. So really, and here's an old woman talking to you, you are in the best years of your lives. I remember people saying that to me and I was going, don't be silly, I have loads of time left, but time flies. And you really are at the best time. You don't have to have a job. You get dropped back and forth. You may be on a bus, you may have to walk, but you don't have to go to a job you don't like. You don't have to do something that you don't want to do. You're actually going to school to meet your friends. You may be doing a subject you don't like, but there's other subjects you really do like. You're in the best place now, and it's time to actually stop and think about it and find clubs that you like, find hobbies, do things that you actually enjoy while you have time to do it. Because when you get out and you go to college, you'll probably have a part-time job. You won't have time to do these extra things that you want to do for yourself. Poor performance in school. Look, a lot of us we're told, should do more, not reaching potential, um, uh, could be the best in the class, just too lazy. All these things are on all our reports every single year. And we say to teachers, if you see that on someone's record, please highlight to them that, it could be that they need more support in class. Difficult in meeting deadlines and forgetting things. That's all the things gone behind. These are all the things that we are really, really good at, really creative. Now, I don't mean art. It could be that you love to doodle and you'll end up designing t-shirts later on. You like words, you read books, you write books. It could be that you absolutely love music. You never did a music class, but you turn on and you go out and you get into a little band. And you don't have to be big, huge. There's loads of bands here that have been going 20 years and they're doing exactly the music they want in the pubs in the same town. They don't have to leave and they're able to grow their families in the same town where they're working. And then they work part-time job, but because they're able to do something that they love. We do a creatives club for adults. We're hoping to do one for teens as well. And it's about people just coming with their hobbies. And so there's people who love knitting. These are people now that are out and working. Okay, so just think of yourselves in sixth year, not sixth year, but fifth year, maybe doing a part-time job, and maybe when you're in college. They're some love knitting, some are doing animation. They've taken their drawing and done an animation course, and they show their little videos. There's others that are writing poems where they didn't really like English when they were younger. There's others that are creating new little comic books. You can have anything on the side and what your strengths are what you need to work on. And that little hobby helps them as adults to get through their lives. It gives them something extra to do. And the things that we are really good at, we would be great as firemen, nurses, A&E staff, out and about in the ambulances, managing 150 staff. We've had that many a time where somebody has gone all the way through college, all the way through in work and managed to get team after team, job after job, 150 people working. They've got 15 different projects going at the same time, and someone else is only able to manage one project in one team. Towards our ADHD brain is, yes, there's 15. The more things that there is to do, the more we can work on it. And if we have an interest. But there are then managers who have got maybe 20 years in a job and they're doing all these different big things. And then it comes to their job has gone into a manager job and it's more paperwork. And it's things like where they were back in school, they didn't like paperwork. They couldn't manage deadlines. And that's when their ADHD starts showing. They've got the whole way through to being a 50-year-old. So that's what I'm saying. Understand yourself. Start learning about how you work, how your brain works. We're really good at problem solving. What they used to say was that all cavemen, the ones who actually ran out and actually killed the buffaloes and actually brought back the meat, were the ADHDers, because we weren't afraid of the lion coming along. They saw the buffalo, they went after it, didn't think about the consequences, because in real life we get in trouble for the consequences the odd time because we don't think of what we're doing. But on the flip side of that is, as an entrepreneur, not being afraid of getting something started just because another 10 people couldn't get it going. Doesn't mean that just because it's a Starbucks doesn't mean there's not a Costa. It doesn't mean there's not the little shop down the road doing the coffee shop and someone is living their dream by having their own coffee shop. Competition is all about different kinds of brains. Neurodiverse brains take up 40% of the population when it comes to in employment. Google's and Facebook's and all the bigger companies are trying to get the neurodiverse brains because they know you think outside the box. You don't just think outside, you tear it up, take it apart, sell it back in a completely different shape. Our brains think differently. We're not afraid to take risks. We're great as entrepreneurs, but then we need the support of somebody who's an admin or an accountant who will take the menial tasks that we don't like the paperwork. So once you've got your support, like in school, that your teachers are helping you, your parents are helping you, you're in having to get to different classes and you've got a schedule written on your pencil case, on the front of your bag, on the front of your locker, and in the car before you actually leave the car. So you can be really creative in every part of your life. And we are great in really fast conditions. Really a lot of challenges we are able to work with as long as and great working under pressure, as long as we understand what we're doing and we like what we're doing. A lot of famous people, but really to me, the way you look at famous people, Michael Phelps, his mom couldn't get him into any of the group that she tried him in all the different sports, American football and everything, and she couldn't get him to like and stay in any of the group sports. She threw him into a swimming pool and he never stopped swimming. He's made that his career. That's the same as cycling. That's the same as people who are sitting in their bedroom playing on their guitar, and then there are these big groups. But there are also, to me, the people who are famous are the girls who didn't finish college, who went back, got a diagnosis later on in life, went back to college, and are now coming out as ADHD coaches. They're working in the group of neurodiverse people who they had no support. They're here for to give them support. People who've had to go back as mature students because they never got the opportunity when they were younger. They failed the Leaving Cert, and there weren't the opportunities there are now. So some of you who are doing Leaving Cert now and you don't want to go to college, there's so many other opportunities. And those who don't want to do the Leaving Cert, there's so many other opportunities. There's even so many different types of schools now that you don't have to sit in the usual run-of-the-mill, straightforward schools. So there's a lot of famous people, but famous people to me are the ones who are able to get up on a daily basis, get out, do their job, keep their hobby going, start a business that they want to start, have a life and be happy. And that's what it's about. Being good with ADHD is making your life work. How can we help ourselves? ADHD, we were talking about brain scans. Now, these are only graphics of brain scans, obviously. So on the first one, it's ADHD. It's not working as well as the neurotypical on the far end. So you forget the middle one if you can now at all in the beginning. Look at the ADHD. The synapses are not really firing. So where we're carrying a message from thinking about what we're doing to making it actually happen isn't actually connecting. In a neurotypical brain, you can see, yeah, the connections are done. I have to do this. These are the different steps I have to do to get myself there. Here's my plan. We can't get there. Towards if we're moving, we're learning. So whether we're chewing a pencil, whether we have something in our hand, whether we're touching our ear, whether we're curling our hair, kicking our feet, we're moving our body to be able to calm our brain, to be able to think, to be able to focus. So if we're moving, we're learning. So there's lots of things that can help us, especially now. Some obviously you can't use for exams, but you certainly can get a lot of accommodations in school when you have ADHD. And in some cases, schools are quite good to help you, to give you the extra 20 minutes for exams, to give you maybe a smaller room for exams, to help in different accommodations that you need to help you get through exams and exam times. But during the normal week, day-to-day week, there's text-to-speech software that you can have on ordinary Word documents. There's note-taking software. There's pens that record. So if there's particular subjects that you really find hard, they can be used. Now, obviously, you have to talk to teachers about this. They are used in college, but it is about trying to help yourselves here. Writing notes, getting teachers in a particular subject that you need extra help. Go and ask, can you give me that homework? Print it. Can you give it to us the night before? Can you let us know what's coming up next week so I can start getting myself ready earlier? Teachers are quite open to that, and we've got to allow them that you help them by helping yourself and asking for the help. Stephen's story, I will help you with that. I'll put that on now right at the end. So things that you can do to help you in classes. Body doubling is something that's really great. If you have Zoom or Teams at home on your computers and you have a study, say you're doing a study for a geography project, sit on Zoom, everyone come together and you all just sit there for an hour. Say you're doing a 7 to 8 on a Thursday evening, it's a study group, turn on the computer, get everyone sitting there together and you just work on your own thing. Set the alarms for 20 minutes and every 20 minutes everyone comes together. How are you getting on? Yeah, we're doing okay. Go away. Do the rest of your project for the hour. You will find you'll actually get an awful lot more done by having someone sitting there. Even though they're not talking to you, they're doing their own thing. This is called a productivity session. And our brains just work really well in 20-minute segments. So if you're doing your own homework, click the alarm for it to go off every 20 minutes. That you buzz your brain back, you give your dopamine hit, you get yourself back down into the zone, get up, jump around, sit back down, and you're ready to go back again. Break tasks into smaller units. If you've got a big essay to do, break it down. How do you break it down? How long it's going to actually genuinely take you? And work with somebody who is actually really good at that subject. Don't be afraid to. Use timers. Absolutely, it's huge. We use them even in ADHD Ireland. Keep task lists in one place. Keep things in one place. Things that you do. It's the silliest thing in the world just to keep where you actually put your phone when you come in the evening, where you put your bag, to find things that you actually need. And same with the timers. Where do you actually leave them in the house? Biggest one is ask for help. Helpful habits, create a routine. Turn your eyes up and you go, yeah, whatever. But it's really important if you have the same routine every day and you're having to study for exams, say your exam years, that you're having to do study every evening for 2 hours, that you do it at a time when you're in the zone for it. So it could be that you're after coming in and you cannot, by the time you get in, it's 5 o'clock, you're finished school. You just cannot sit down to study. Go outside. It may be that you can't keep up your GA or your soccer or something that's going on, but that you go outside and kick a ball, jump on the trampoline, just sit outside and just have a cup of tea, Coke, or whatever you're drinking. But do you know what I mean? That you give yourself that break, go to your bed and lie down for an hour, but set the alarm that you actually get back up. Turn on that blaring music, dance around the class, the bedroom, get yourself ready to then get into the zone to work. A lot of us work really well late at night, but we kind of do nothing in those hours before that time. But if that's your routine, that's your routine, simple as. Go to bed earlier. Create a reward system for yourself. You're not giving yourself stars, but it's if you get that project done on time and actually remember to bring it in, say to your mom, hey, I did well on that. Give me that pizza. Do you know? It's about trying to find the little things. And I'll say about journaling and stuff later on in a minute. But stop and watch something for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour, especially through study time. And I know a lot of people who are in third year now. First year is a big one for you trying to learn how to get yourselves together, how to organize yourselves. And it's a big mammoth task to get yourselves through first year and exam years, guys. And again, TY is big. Take your hand in all when trying to get work experience, guys, in TY. Get as much time and get as much experience out of that year as you can, because you'll never get that time back. Keep things in the same place. Look, we lose things, we break things, drop phones. I have a new phone quite regularly, and I'm sure some of you are the same. Just keep things in the same place. It's find 10 minutes to actually say, I'm going to organize my desk. I'm going to organize the wardrobe. And it just click the alarm for 10 minutes. That's huge. It really works for us. Things for self-care that we don't do at all a lot of the time. We don't think of ourselves. We're always following what we haven't done, what's to be done next, what I forgot to do. We're in a constant flurry from morning till night. It's somewhere along the line you need to set an alarm for self-care. If it's only 15 minutes in the week, you set it on that Friday afternoon where you know there's nothing on and you find something to do that you actually enjoy doing. Try and get some sleep, try and drink water. These are all things we're going to ask you because it really does work. Some mums are great, some mums not so much at nutrition and trying to get the good meals on the table. But sometimes we try our best and then you still won't eat them. So try yourself to get as much nutrition as you can because it really does help you focus when it comes to the real important exam times. Make time for hobbies. That's what I said to you. There's so many of the adults that come into our groups specifically because they're keeping going in the job because of their hobbies that they still have. Do things that you really like to do. Meet your friends. Even if you can't meet them, get up on Zoom, throw it up on WhatsApp, Snapchat, whatever it is. And create personal goals. Look, some people like that. Some people don't. If you really want to get that particular dance program done, if you want to get that thing in drama, you want to get to a certain level, you want to get to intercounty in your GA, set your goals because that's what life is about, guys. It's about aiming to achieve things. And whether we get there or not, it's about trying to help ourselves concentrate on one thing because the weeks go past. We're constantly in a flurry of what didn't we do instead of in a flurry of what am I aiming for? What's happening next week? You know, sometimes things come on us and there's a disco coming up next week, but we actually only think about it on the Thursday before the Friday. Girls don't always have that, but boys tend to be able to get away with that and throw on a jeans and t-shirt. But there are girls who exactly that mindset, they just forget that it's actually on and everything is a mad panic then on the day before. So if you're going on a tour, if you're going to the cinema with a group of friends, try and give yourself time to think about it and enjoy it. Some people like journaling. These are things that other students have actually explained to us that they like to do. So that's why we gave these to you. Meditation, mindfulness, some like drama, as I said, dance class, yoga classes. Some love to be out and about, a lot like the sports, but a lot don't like sports. And what else do you do instead? Screen time is not learning. It's not about helping yourself. It's about just taking your time away. Be compassionate with yourself when you're getting things wrong. We had a women's group the other day and there was a lot of young students there that are just after going into college and they're constantly forgetting, they're constantly not doing what they're meant to be doing. And that's hard on ourselves. And we can be constant negative cycle and talking to ourselves, why did we do that? That's wrong again. You're after doing that again. Try and help ourselves out of that. Okay, that happened, but tomorrow's another day. Try and change that mindset to a positive. Find something good in what we didn't do. Find something good in what we did, and then work with that. Because it is hard to bring ourselves out of that negativity after listening to it for so long. Try and take a break from social media. Don't have it going all night. If you can, turn off Wi-Fi on your phone. Friends aren't going to be going in the middle of the night. Just give yourself that brain time. You can turn it back on later on in the morning. Remove one side. That's one thing that those who are being bullied and those who have negative self-image might be self-harming or might be thinking they're too fat or too thin or need to exercise, need to do this, I need to be darker with my tan, I need to have more makeup on, I need to be wearing some certain clothes. That's all coming. It's not coming from your friends, guys. That's coming from social media and people who are out there trying to make money, who also, in a lot of cases, have a negative view of themselves and trying to make themselves feel good by putting these videos out. So where a video or an influencer isn't making you feel good, knock them off. Rid of them. You are allowed to do that. And the same with friends. If people are not making you feel good, get rid of them. Find someone who does. Positives of ADHD. You're risk takers, you're creative, you're resilient. You can get through things. You will take a failure and go at it again. You will take another failure and you'll go at it again. I know a guy who did 4 years after finishing college and failing his summer exams. After failing the first lot, he failed his repeat exams in engineering. He went back 3 years in a row to actually finish. And I knew him when I actually started in 2017. He actually finished around 22, where he actually finished, he was 24 finishing, but it was 2022. And he went back 3 more years to finish that exam and just to have it done, just to have finished it. That's resilience. Other people would have given up. I didn't do it. Missed the repeat. That's okay. I'll do something else the rest of my life. He said, no, I'll work in the kitchen until I get there. And he did. Great problem solvers. So we've great brain behind us. We make great friends. We just have to be able to help others see how good of friends we can be. What do we do with ADHD Ireland? We have a lot of events on our website, lots of information for yourselves. And this is the start of it. And it's about trying to bring people together. We have online social clubs. We sometimes do drama. We do socials, bring people together. If there's a groupie that are in any of the one places, we will try and pull groups together. But sometimes with things online, it's very hard to get schools together. It's very hard to get enough people in one place to do one thing. So any ideas, if you've got ideas, throw them into the chat for ideas for socials, for pulling you together. Please throw them into the chat box by all means. I see a couple of questions. I'm hoping I'm going to get there. We do ADHD coaching, creative support groups for yourselves. We do self-development presentations. Now, they probably won't be back until the new year, but we work through, say, motivation, procrastination, how to work through your negativity, around organizing yourself, sleep, self-care. But there's a lot out there online, and some of us, get lost in black holes. There's one girl who's very good. She's called Jessica McCabe. Sarah, if you can write that in the box, Jessica McCabe, How to ADHD. She has a lot of really, really good videos. Instead of getting lost in loads of people, she is very good. She has ADHD and she does understand what people need to hear. We do run clubs. We're always looking for volunteers, and don't be afraid to come along. I am going to have a very, very quick look in chat. By all means, send the link for the parents webinar. Again, I certainly can do that. Hold on now 1 second. I will do that there now. There's the link again for the parents webinar. And how are we doing? Logged on a few minutes late, recording as well as slides. We'll see how good the recording goes. What the marketing girl thinks and what we actually do is another story. How doing, guys, from Cork and Dublin and Limerick? Fantastic. Newbridge and Galway. In Dublin, brilliant. Thanks for coming along, guys. I hope you learned a little bit about yourselves. I hope it helped you a little in the way you're, I'm going to stop sharing there now. In the way you're thinking about life and how, if somebody has mentioned about ADHD, how you feel about yourselves. I hope it makes a difference. I'm launching just a tiny little poll. It's very quick. And what I'll do is I'm going to send you the slides. I'm going to send you a little video. And I might even throw up the video here now if I can. and we'll see how it goes. And thank you very much for coming along, and I hope to see you again soon. The video is not going to launch. No, it's not going to launch for me. Will it? Maybe we'll go for it. Give it a go. Can you hear that okay? Thanks a million.
Well, there are loads of different problems. It's kind of hard to know where to start. Like in primary school, I tended to get myself into trouble without really realizing it.
Sorry.
I was always being brought in front of the principal and that. Someone would do something in the class, and then I'd do the exact same thing, but they'd stop in time and not get caught, but I always got caught. I always needed to top what everyone else did. I was impulsive and like easily convinced to do things like I knew I shouldn't. In secondary school, I got diagnosed with ADHD. At first, I thought there was something wrong with me and that I was weird, but I kind of slowly realized it's not really weird because loads of people have it. It kind of affected the way I got on with people. I was aggressive and always got angry at like everyone. I still don't know why I was pissed off all the time. It's a good idea to step back and have a look at what's going on, why you're acting out, and what's upsetting you. But it's not an easy thing to do. I didn't really fully realise that I was taking things way too far. I used to just not talk at all about important things like having problems at school. But like there are other ways to get the anger out, like doing exercise and going to the gym, listening to really loud music and walking away from an argument until you've calmed down. Kind of making the choice to pull yourself back from tense situations like an argument with your parents. Kind of like pressing a pause button. My relationship with my mum, a bit dodgy at times. We kind of have a very different opinions on things, so there's kind of a lot of conflict. And we usually end up in arguments over silly little things like taking your shoes off the front door. And that could be the start of a big argument. Lots of small things set off big arguments, and then I get punished, like getting grounded or getting the computer taken off me, or even both, which means that when I'm grounded, I've got nothing to do, which makes it even worse. It's okay to have consequences, but they have to be thought out and reasonable, because if they're not, then it leads to you feeling angry and being fed up with your parents. And there should be boundaries and rules, because it kind of keeps you in line and don't go wild, but they should be fair. Like I try not to ignore my mum, so that there's less arguments, but like it's easier said than done. Parents kind of set expectations too high sometimes, and it leads to you feeling disappointed in yourself when you don't meet those expectations. Like the way I feel under pressure to do well in school. You kind of need to know that your parents actually care. Them noticing when you do anything right and not focusing on all the things you've done wrong. If they are always picking on the negative things, then you're going to feel bad about yourself. They need to listen to you and what you have to say, but it's not a one-way system. You have to put some effort into and let them know that if you need help or if you need to talk. They're not psychic. Assuming that other people know what you want can create problems. So if there's something you need to say, just say it clearly as it is, rather than hinting and hoping they're going to get the message. Your frame of mind and the way you think about things can influence how you feel. So, like, for example, if you think negative thoughts about yourself, like, oh, I'm no good, then you're more likely to feel bad about yourself. If you can make yourself think differently, as in break the negative cycle of thinking, and then you're more likely to feel happy about yourself. Since I've started making changes like that, things have gone way better for me. I get on better with people and I kind of feel happier in myself.
The genuine guy, guys, just talking about his real experience, and I'm sure plenty of you relate with that. So thanks a million for coming along, and thank you for staying with me till now. I'm sorry, I do talk a lot. I'm going to try really quickly if there's anything. Yes, getting slides, thank you. Yeah, no problem. A recent diagnosis in Leaving Cert, advised and Leaving Cert exam supports available to assist students. Yes, normally there is you go to a smaller room. It's not always necessarily the best place to be in a room with all the people who have ADHD. So if you're in with everybody and there's a good mixture, it's probably the best way of doing it. You normally can get, now these are only guidelines, so every school is different, but you can ask for the extra 20 minutes per exam. And so that 20 minutes, the way it works normally is, so say your geography is 2 hours. You get 2 hours, 20 minutes when you have a diagnosis. And it tends to, and sometimes when you don't have a diagnosis, that's why I'm saying, guys, talk to your schools. They know when you're under pressure and they're more than happy to talk to you and talk with your parents by all means. That's an internal video. Sorry, Brian, we can't give it out, but it's an internal video that we just got done just to try and get a kid to be able to explain how to other people his own age, how they got through. But when it comes, sorry, to the Leaving Cert, there is this 20 minutes. So basically, you can get up. So say I'm half an hour in and I go, my brain is burst. I need 5 minutes. I say to the facilitator, I need 5 minutes. So they're allowing you 5 minutes of your time to go out, to either go to the toilet, come back. You can't obviously have a phone. You can't have anything to do with it. You are being watched. It's about just getting up, walking around, having that brain break, sitting back down. So you have 15 minutes left of your extra 20 minutes. So you've still your 2 hours. You can take your time. You can look through your exam. You can take your time to do that. And you still have your extra 15 minutes after doing the 5 minutes. Then you do another 5 minutes. You might want to do 3 minutes and still have 12 minutes left. So that's how you can work it. So they're just a couple of the things. There are other things, but every school is slightly different. That's kind of the few things that they can definitely help you with. Look, we're not experts in medication. There are people that say it works really well for them. There are so many different types of medication. It's all done in the different blood types that you have as well and how you work. Like that, some of you will not have the same brain issue. You might as well say, you will be able to remember poems. I can't remember a poem. I can remember things in French. I can't remember them in English. You know, everyone thinks differently. And particularly with ADHD, we're a big plethora of loads of different types of issues. So everybody is different. And the same goes with medication. There are some people who say medication really, really helps them get through exams. But you can't just decide in sixth year, just before the mocks, that you need your medication. Unfortunately, when you go to your GP, you get referred to CANS. It could be a 2-year process. If you're going privately, it still could be a 2-year process because not everybody is sitting there. Even if you were able to get a credit union loan to do it, there are not enough people in the country. So if you have any inclination about ADHD, please talk to your school, talk with your parents, get talking to your GP and get referred. At least that would be the starting process. And then when you get in, if you do have a diagnosis of ADHD, medication may be offered, it may not be. But if you tend to get, if you are offered medication, try and take it and at least try and see does it work for you, especially if you're in an exam year. If you're not, we're not pro meds or anti meds. We are not asking you to take medication. Some people it works for, some people it does not work for at all. They lose weight, they gain weight. There's a lot to do with medication, but the same thing with paracetamol and Nurofen. You can have side effects in them as well. So yes, when it comes to medication, sometimes it works. When it comes to doing ADHD coaching, sometimes it works to help you as well to study. Putting routines in place with an OT can also help you. So it's knowing what your body needs. And that's what it's all about, guys. Thank you very much. And I hope we can get that bit of recording to you. Yeah, absolutely. Any more? I'm going to have to go on that. But thanks a million for coming along. And if you have any, do schools have separate tests? No, schools don't do any tests for ADHD. You have to go to your GP and get referred either to the CAMS, which is the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services, or the private system. But if anybody wants to know about it, please ring through to our helpline. It's 018748349. Just look to our website. It's info@adhdireland.ie. And all your questions can be answered there as well. Because we have Tricia and Sophie on the phone and they're really good. So by all means, guys, you're not on your own. There are lots of people out like us and we just need to help each other and make sure that everyone understands how we're going through. So, but make sure, put out your hand for help and go enjoy the evening. The sun is kind of gone, but it's still dry out there. Thanks a million. Hope to see you again. Come to some of our events. Bye-bye.